Scott Pruitt has finally decided to address a class of contaminants that Hydroviv has been tracking for years. The 2018 PFAS National Leadership Summit and Engagement began yesterday at EPA headquarters here in Washington, D.C. The goal of the summit is to bring together states, tribes, and territories who have been adversely affected by per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS. This is a class of dangerous and emerging contaminants. If you live in Wilmington, North Carolina, or near Maplewood, Minnesota, you are probably very familiar with PFAS contamination. This class of chemicals was historically used in food packaging, Teflon, Scotchgard, firefighting foam, and has now invaded many drinking water sources in the United States. Pruitt sounded hopeful in his opening remarks on Tuesday. He stated that PFAS contamination is a national priority and that the EPA is developing groundwater cleanup remediations. He also announced that EPA is working to create a 4-step action plan. A major component of this plan is to set maximum contaminant levels, or MCLs. Municipalities would be required to meet these levels. MCLs are enforceable limits that are set as close to a no-risk level as possible. Many states, such as New Jersey, voiced their concerns on the lengthy timescale that it typically takes EPA to set water quality standards. States have jurisdiction to create their own more stringent drinking water standards, but again, this is a lengthy and expensive process. Additionally, the Safe Drinking Water Act only regulates public drinking water systems that supply at least 25 people at 15 service connections. Private well users will not be regulated by the proposed PFAS maximum contaminant levels. It's also important to mention that through the Safe Drinking Water Act, the burden of meeting these water quality standards is posed on municipalities. Because PFAS contaminants are so complex, complete removal at the municipal level is impossible without spending a small fortune for advanced technology that may not even be effective. A representative from the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry agreed that the toxicological profiles for various types of PFAS would be released as soon as possible. The same representative also stated that the minimal risk level for PFAS should be dropped to 12 parts per trillion instead of the current EPA health advisory level of 70 parts per trillion. Some scientists believe that even this threshold is still too high. The health director of the Natural Resources Defense Council recommends that PFAS standards should be set in the 4 to 10 parts per trillion range. These conflicting opinions go to show just how ambiguous water quality standards are in this country. Although one might be quick to point fingers at the current administration, Scott Pruitt isn't completely to blame for the weak water quality standards. In fact, none of the recent EPA administrators have seriously taken on water quality regulations. After the major environmental policy reform in the early 1970s, there hasn't been a real push to amend important statutes that protect the waters of the United States. Certain drinking water standards that were set in the 1970s are still acting as the federal floor today. Drinking water regulations have been in a state of limbo ever since the 1996 amendments of the Safe Drinking Water Act. These amendments, developed under the Clinton administration, addressed important gaps in the original 1974 statute. Unfortunately, since the 1996 amendments, entirely new classes of harmful contaminants have become prominent in the nation's waters. Emergent chemicals such as PFAS weren't mentioned in the 1996 amendments because regulators were unaware of just how dangerous they would become to human health. Again, we cannot point fingers at the federal government. The scientific community has known about PFAS-like compounds for decades and still minimal action has been taken to mitigate exposure. So you're probably wondering, will PFAS become regulated? As a result of this summit, most likely no. As we've stated before, the regulatory process for drinking water standards can take decades. The good news is that a study by NC State showed Hydroviv water filters effectively remove Gen X and other PFAS from tap water. The study was done in the home of a Wilmington customer. Hydroviv is not affiliated with NC State, did not pay for the filter to be evaluated, and did not pay for the customer to share their results. If you'd like to learn more about PFAS, Gen X, and Hydroviv filters, drop us a line at hello@hydroviv.com or go to hydroviv.com and use our live chat feature. Our Washington, D.C. based water nerds will be able to answer your questions and help you select an effective water filter, even if it isn't one we sell. Thanks for watching. Click here to subscribe and click here for more videos just like this.